Sweet. All right, guys. Episode 3, Athletes Hub. Myself, obviously Rich, and my friend, my cousin, DJ Flexx, aka Francis. Bet you out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, today we're joined by a good friend of mine, Kiran. We go quite a long time back. We used to play football together on the Saturdays years ago. So it's good to have you on, Kiran.
Well, I used to play. You used to try.
Come on, listen. I remember I was actually a good goalkeeper for you. Like, I used to save so many goals. Remember?
I remember you used to pick up the ball a lot.
Oh, come on. I used to stop them getting in the back of the net, but that's for another time anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, good to have you on today, Kiran. It's been a long time trying to get you on. And
It has been a long time coming.
100%. And yeah, I think today's topic is a topic that is going to get everyone talking. It's a massive debate that's happened for a long time in football. And that question is Messi or Ronaldo? I think before we get into it, I've just got to say that, growing up as a football fan, I've experienced and seen a lot of great players over the years, from the late 90s, early 2000s up until now. Ronaldinho's, Roberto Carlos's, Brazilian Ronaldo, Edgar Davids, Zidane, Figo. List goes on really. But I think with these two, they've really taken it to another level, to be honest. I mean, the consistency, the trophies they've won, the performances. As for you guys, when was the first time that you guys actually saw these two play, and did you feel as if they would actually reach these heights?
No, go on, Kiran. I'll let you answer that one.
Okay, so the first time I saw Ronaldo, was I saw him in a friendly for Man United in 2003. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, this guy looks quite good. Aesthetically, he used to do about 1,000 stepovers a game. There wasn't too much end product, but I had a feeling that with time, that would come. And I know when he first went to United, he was, a lot of people were saying, oh, yeah, all he can do is stepovers, then he'll fall over. But I knew even then, even though at the time I didn't want to admit it because he was playing for our biggest rival, I knew this guy, he could potentially be something special, but he needed to work on his end product. The first time I saw Messi, I think it was in a Champions League game against the British team. I can't remember if it was against Man United or against Chelsea.
It was against Chelsea, trust me.
He was just coming back. He was just coming back from a long layoff, but I could tell when he came on, even though he's just come back from a long layoff, that the ground it lifted, and I didn't really know much about this player, because I didn't really used to watch Barcelona. I didn't like them. I've always been a Real Madrid guy, from the Galactico era. But when he picked up the ball, remember this guy, I think they said he'd been out for like 6 months. He picked up the ball and he was just going past players with ease. I knew this guy. I don't think anyone really had any ideas that these guys were going to hit the numbers that they've hit. Especially Ronaldo, who played half his career as a winger. They're two phenomenal guys, definitely.
What about you, Francis? When was the first time you set your eyes on these two legendary players?
Yeah, no. I remember seeing Ronaldo for Sporting in the friendly against United. I think that's where everyone came to really see who Cristiano was, and then, of course, him moving into the Premier League and establishing himself as easily one of the greatest foreign exports to have graced the league. Messi, I saw, I forgot which La Liga game it was, but he scored a goal which was like he basically lobbed the keeper from, like, I don't know, 18, 20 yards out. And I remember Ronaldinho saying that this guy is definitely going to be the next best thing, like, ever. And coming from Ronaldinho at the time, who was the best thing ever, you know, you knew that this kid must be something special in training, and, you know, behind closed doors, this guy must be doing something absolutely, you know, insane for, you know, the current Ballon d'Or winner to say this guy is going to go on to do numbers, right? So that's where I got to see the two of them. I guess probably, you know, moving forward, you know, you've probably got to ask who we think is the best player out of the.
Yeah, we'll get to that later on. We'll get to that at the end. But yeah, second your thoughts. I think for me personally, obviously being a United fan, I came across Ronaldo when he joined for Sporting Lisbon in 2003-04. But I think 2004, 2005 is when I really saw what this guy could be capable of, really. As you said, Kiran, at the start, this guy used to do 100 step-overs a game. His end product was non-existent, really. But as time went on, he began to sort of learn a bit more about the game and what he needs to do at certain times within the game. He became more mature and developed a partnership with Wayne Rooney as well at the time. They're both very young. With Lionel Messi, I think it was 2006-07 where he played in the El Clasico game where he scored a really good goal. And that was when there's a lot of comparisons to Diego Maradona at the time. And I hadn't seen Maradona play, obviously, but looking back on previous clips, there was some similarities there. But when it came to 07-08, when United played against them in the Champions League semi-finals, that's when I really saw what this guy could do. And it was a special talent. I mean, the way he could just not make plays, the way he could just sort of, the ball was glued to his feet, basically. And I hadn't really seen anyone play like that before, apart from Ronaldinho, who was a very sort of like a freestyle trickster type of player. But again, I had no idea that these guys were going to go on to do what they've done there, really, to be honest. I think in terms of both of these players, they're kind of different, I guess. But what goal stands out over the years? I mean, I think I started watching these guys properly from about 08 until now. So is there a goal that sort of stands out for you guys that they've scored that you just thought, oh, this goal is just incredible?
Oh man, I mean, they've got so many goals. It's difficult to say where to begin because, you know, if you're talking of a highlight reel, they could for sure put, you know, a top five
10
together.
hours, wouldn't it?
It'll be ridiculous. I think I'll say my favorite Ronaldo goal probably would have come. I think it's the goal against David James, which was a free kick.
Okay.
Put it right into the top bin. And I think that was the first time folks had figured out, you know, the new way of taking free
Free
kicks.
kicks, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just thought, wow, like, you know, it's all about the training behind it, right? Because you would have think, how many times had training would he have taken the free kick like this? Probably ballooned the ball over the bar a few hundred times. But, you know, in this big game, he's managed to nail it and got it right. And then I'll say maybe my second favorite Ronaldo goal, I know you're asking for one, but I'll give you two, was the one he scored against Porto. It was just a screamer. It was just bang.
Yeah.
It was just like, how did he generate so much power? How the hell did, like, just so many factors to that. And I was just like, yeah, that guy, he's amazing. And I would say for me, Lionel Messi, where do you begin, man? I mean, I would say most recently that my favorite Messi goal would have been the free kick against Liverpool, because I don't know how, you know, top bins. Like, you could have two goalkeepers in there and ain't nobody saving that, you know, and the distance it traveled and all of that, you just think, wow. And then there was another one where he basically dribbles this is a La Liga goal. He dribbles maybe 4 or 5 man. Then he chips the keeper. But while he chips the keeper, he then kind of, you know, brings the ball back down again and then taps it into. I'll find that goal. Like, it's too amazing.
And that'd be great.
I don't know how he's gone about doing it, but I'll try and find it right now while Kiran lists his goals, and I'll show you that.
I think, yeah, the Porto goal from Ronaldo, it really, the goal against Porto stands out. It was, I remember thinking at the time, this is just unbelievable. He scored so many similar goals where it's just the power is like a freak of nature. And even today, if you think of players playing, probably only Ibrahimovic in terms of generating like that extreme power could even compare. I think, yeah, one goal, one other goal that stands out for me from Ronaldo is actually a goal that didn't even stand because of Nani. It was against.
Was it was international goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I remember thinking at the time, no way. Like, did he actually just do this? It was like a chip, but he was on a mad side angle, like a crossing angle, and that was phenomenal. You know, my favorite Messi goal, believe it or not, is actually a goal against Arsenal.
He scored plenty against Arsenal as well, so you got a lot to choose from there.
I had to say, it's not hard to believe.
The goal was just so aesthetically pleasing. He went round about 4 players, and then from about 20 yards out, he's chipped. I think Almunia was in goal. But what made the goal so not pleasing, because obviously it was against my team, but as he's running off to celebrate, he's laughing. He's laughing, and that for me really made me think, do you know what, yeah? I don't know if I've ever seen a player that I like more than Lionel Messi, because he's having fun while he's ripping his team apart. And that's what the game's. Of course, the game's about winning, but having fun at the same time. I mean, probably. I mean, I don't think there's anyone in the game today that has as much fun as Messi was having at that time. And probably in all the time that I've been watching football, maybe only Ronaldinho comes close in terms of just sheer enjoyment.
Yeah, always smiling. Literally always smiling, to be honest. No, but I think for me personally, I think my 2 favorite goals, one from each. I think the Ronaldo goal against Juventus for Real Madrid, where he did the bicycle kick. I think that was last season, we did the bicycle kick. That was just insane, really. And I think even the Juventus fans were clapping him as well, because it was so good. And I've never seen. I think that's probably the best goal in the Champions League I've seen, to be honest.
No, get out of here, man.
I think it's probably just. There's a lot to choose from. What
you're saying is criminal, mate. Zidane's goal in the final.
Everyone's going to go to that one. Everyone goes. I think Gareth Bale scored.
Gareth Bale's bicycle kick was technically much better than Ronaldo's. You know what I mean?
I mean, again, when it comes to Messi, Ronaldo, all opinionated. My opinion, I think that goal last season was just probably just the way he did it. I've not seen anything like that, to be honest. Messi's goal, I think the goal he scored against Real Madrid in the 2011 Champions League semi-finals, when he ran from the halfway line and he beat God knows how many players and he scored. That was, again, sensational, man. Sensational. And I think you made a good point, Kiran, there about Messi smiling when he scored against Arsenal. But a lot of people said that compared Messi to Ronaldo, Messi was more of the humble type of player. So he wasn't the player who was arrogant, he was a very humble, nice guy. Whereas Ronaldo's got this perception of being that cocky, arrogant player, really. I mean, in terms of personalities, does that reflect both of them? Would you say that Ronaldo's a cocky one and Messi's more of the humble one?
No, I wouldn't agree with that, to be honest. I've always thought that Ronaldo was just psychologically much stronger than Messi. I think Messi, he's quite an introvert. He doesn't, even Maradona has famously come out and said that Messi should have never been allowed to captain Argentina, because in 2 minutes before every game, he's vomiting in the changing room because the pressure is so enormous, captaining his country. So I don't think that particular characteristic is in Messi. I don't. Ronaldo, it's only arrogance, I think, when you think that you're better than you are. And I think Ronaldo is one of the best to ever do it, and his numbers are so phenomenal. He has every right to go out there thinking, you know, 9 out of 10 times he is the best player on the pitch, and he is the guy that makes the difference. I wouldn't say Ronaldo is arrogant. I would say Ronaldo is just he just knows how good he is. Whereas Messi, yeah, he knows, but he just doesn't have that personality that can, sort of demonstrate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think with Ronaldo, he's had to work every inch to really get to this level. Again, like we said, when we first saw him, he wasn't the finished article. He was nowhere near it. Decision making was a big weakness in his game at the time. But I think with development, again, bulking himself up, getting in the gym, making himself bigger, just the way he's built like a proper athlete. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Messi's sort of being given a gift from God to really go out there and play football. Again, Messi's not the biggest guy, by the way. He's a very small guy. He's had to really work hard as well to sort of fit in with the bigger guys on the pitch. The guy constantly gets kicked on the pitch, but always gets up. So he's very tenacious, Messi. I mean, Francis, again, do you feel as if the perceptions of both players are correct?
Totally not, because if you listen to interviews from the likes of Henri and others, which were at Barcelona at the time, they'll say that he is very arrogant actually in training. You know what I mean? When he doesn't get the ball, or when he doesn't score a goal, or if the coach for any reason says that, oh no, it's not a goal, it's a foul, or whatever, he gets the ball and dribbles throughout the whole 6 or 7, 8 professionals and scores the goal by himself. That sounds like someone who's arrogant to me. You know what I mean? That sounds like someone who's cocky to me. It's just that, I guess he's more of a team player when it comes to match days than Ronaldo is. And that's always been the difference. And you would say teams have, like, let's say Real Madrid, for example, have always built their team around Ronaldo, to the point where you have a clinical finisher like Benzema, who only scores 10 goals a season, because his job is to not score goals as a striker, but find Ronaldo. You know what I mean? And whereas you got Messi, who's a team player, who gives away penalties when he could be taking them, or gives away free kicks when he could be taking them for the benefit of his team members. So I guess it's by design that Ronaldo, I guess, looks the way he does, because if you talk about, both of them as men outside of football, they do a lot of philanthropy type of work. You know what I mean? So, you can't say that he's all about, arrogance and this, that, whatever. He does a lot of stuff, for Syria and other places like that outside of football. I just think it's the media that has given that perception that one is like that and the other's like that. I think they're just the same, because you
Same,
can't get to that level without both of you guys being, a certain way. And I think, they have shown that, I think that they need each other. I don't think they both would have gotten to that level without that, that friendly rivalry, I would say.
Yeah, that competition. Yeah,
Yeah, it's necessary.
yeah. I think that's a good point as well.
Just quickly, I found that goal I was telling you guys about. So I'm gonna share that with you guys, because I think this has easily got to be one of the best goals he's got to scored. Yeah, I mean,
Scored there.
let me share that with you now. Y'all can see the screen.
Yeah.
Now, tell me how he was able to do this. Like, how do you do that? Like,
I remember that goal. Yeah, that was 2011. I remember that.
Like, it's disrespectful. It's just disrespectful.
Oh, mate, his awareness on the pitch is something else, isn't it? His awareness on the pitch to find players constantly. It's like he's always got that thing where he plays as almost a number 10. He might be the number, I think under Pep, he was a number 9 with Villa and Pedro, but he'd always drop in deep, be that number 10 and then find players, always. And his awareness of where everyone was, just different class. And again, the ball's glued to the guy's feet, But yeah, I think you're right there, Francis. I think the competition that they had between each other, especially in the El Clasico games, that's what really took them to the next level, really elevated the games individually as well. Kiran made an interesting point about Messi vomiting in change rooms before international games. Again, I want to go on to that because a lot of people separate their clubs from the international scene. So, for example, a lot of people might say that Ronaldo is better because of his performances for Portugal, and Messi's not really been able to sort of do that at an international level. I think for me personally, I feel as if it is kind of true. I think Ronaldo's had more of an impact in tournaments than Messi. I think Messi's really struggled to really get going for Argentina in the long times I've seen him. I don't know if that's to do with the pressure. I don't know if it's to do with the places played with.
I can explain that.
Explain that. But I feel as if with Ronaldo, in terms of his performances in matches, I mean, you look at the World Cup last year when he scored a couple of goals against Spain, the Nations League last year as well. Like he always produces I'm not saying he's been great throughout the whole tournament, but there's stages and there's moments in the tournament that he actually really steps up. He's a captain. He makes moments count. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Messi really struggles to get going. I don't know. I mean, Kiran, would you agree with that? Would you say that Ronaldo's had more of an impact on the international scene than Messi, or would you say that you wouldn't really consider that as a factor in determining who's better?
I would agree with the point that Ronaldo's definitely had the better international career, and he has had more of an impact, and is more of a key player for his nation than Messi. I think Argentina probably in the long run would benefit if Messi would just retire, because the focus is always on, is Messi going to do something special? And it's kind of a distraction, because more often than not, the answer to the question for Argentina is no. And it's similar for, it was when...
Why is that though? Why can't he produce? What would you say the factors are to not make him produce the performances?
I think there's a couple. One of them, I think, is that, the quality that he was playing with Barcelona is not the quality that he's been playing with in Argentina. They've had great players, but not to that standard, and as well, you have to remember that when you are away on the international training camps and stuff, you spend a couple of weeks maximum before a tournament. Messi's been training with players at Barcelona for a decade, and I think the second thing is Ronaldo is adored. I think even if Ronaldo had not won anything with Portugal, he'd still have been adored because he's their hero. He's their all-time top scorer, and you can always tell that Ronaldo is very patriotic when he plays. He badly wants to perform for his country. I think there's a lot of unfair abuse that goes Messi's way from the Argentina fans. It's evident when you watch their games, and even I think it was in the 2014 World Cup. I jumped on Twitter and I started asking the Argentina fans, why don't you guys treat Messi in the same way that you treat someone like Tevez, for example, who's not even a quarter of the player that Messi is. And I think there's this perception among the fans that Messi's not patriotic, and that perhaps he'd rather have been born as a Spanish player than an Argentinian. So I don't know. Only Messi can really answer the question, why are you doing so well for Barca? Why have you done so well for Barca? And you're a Barca legend. But in 15, 20, 30 years' time, people might still be saying Maradona was the greatest Argentina international ever. And Messi he'll be a forgotten man. I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I'll come to you in a moment, Francis. I think when you mentioned about Messi being adored, I think when you go to the new camp, they chant Messi. That's what they chant, Messi. I mean, he's loved there. And I think obviously him growing up in Barcelona from a very young age, he's been in that system for such a long time. And again, you're training season in, season out with the same club teammates, whereas on the international scene, you spend a very limited time amount with these players, whether it's at a tournament, whether it's qualifiers or friendly. It's a very small amount of time. and being able to develop that relationship with those players, it can be challenging. It's not just Argentina. I think you look at the Holland national team, for example, the great players they've had over the years has been just a joke. And they've not really won a World Cup. They've not really won a European Championship for a long, long time. So I think it's an issue there. There are a lot of great players who just struggle to sort of adapt to whether it's pressure, whether it's a teammate, or the quality is different. I don't know. But it's a big issue there. But yeah, Francis, I mean, I know he's going to say something before about.
I mean, like for me, it's an easy one. I mean, when Ronaldo plays for Portugal, again, like it has been for Real Madrid, he is the focal point of the team, right? And everybody knows that, right? When you go to play for Argentina, you have bigger players than what is in the Portugal team, right? So you've got Aguero, you got Tevez, you
Di
got
Maria.
Di Maria, all of these guys, which in their own right think, I'm the man, right? Even though we all know Messi really is the man, but they have that sense of, I'm just as good or whatever the case may be. So they play for themselves. They're not playing as a team. I mean, if they were to play as a team, they would play very, very well because they've got the technical. I mean, besides having a very poor goalkeeper, you know what I mean? And I think their defense is very average, you know what I mean? But going forward, they have more than enough to, score more goals than the opposition. But I feel like for sure they're not playing to the strengths of Messi. Everyone's playing to the strengths of their own self.
Would you say, sorry, Francis, would you say that there's holes in Argentina? I don't know. I know with Barcelona, they've had like a very sort of stable PK, Puyol, Abidal, Dani Alves, Busquets. They've had a very sort of stable back five for a very long time. But in Argentina's set up, would you say that there's holes in the team? Like they haven't really got that defensive stability to allow Messi to really go on.
Well, no, of course they do. You know what I mean? Like, Otamendi back during them times was considered a very, good option as a centre back. I mean, Mascherano was playing centre back for Barcelona for years.
Zabaleta was there as well.
Zabaleta as well, Rojo as well. When he was, around that time, he was a player than he is today. And then there's been others, you know what I mean? So, like, I just feel that one person, like, for example, like Messi, plays with the likes of Iniesta, Xavi, and the rest of these guys, which have been drilled to make sure that all phases of play, you know what I'm saying, go around this guy, you know what I mean? But at the Argentinian level, international, that is not the case, you know what I mean? And that's why he won't thrive. I mean, we'll say if you dropped him into, and this is why the Spanish national team do so well. It's because, again, those guys have been playing together since they were kids. So if you look through the years, you'd see from under 21s, under 18s, it's the same squad. Nothing has changed. And largely, all of them play for Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Valencia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now Atletico. So they've all been playing together for a number of years. Whereas if you look at the Brazil team, all the South American teams, all their players are scattered all over the globe. So they need a lot more time to gel. Like Kiran said, in that 2 weeks period, it's just not enough for those kind of guys. You see, whereas if you're looking at like the likes of Spain, Croatia even, and others, they came through the ranks together as a unit. Do you see what I mean? So 2 weeks is more than enough time to, remember certain phases of play and who's good at what and all of this other stuff, you know what I mean? But in terms of him being compared to Maradona, he's definitely a better player than Maradona was. You know what I mean? The numbers will show that. And I think I feel like playing football at Maradona's time was probably easier. Maybe I'm just being biased, but I think like it was definitely easier, especially if you was to go fast back as Pele as well. I think it was just easier. But I feel like, Messi, if I think if they got rid of everybody else, you know what I mean, and kept Messi and then built an international team with the kids that are coming through the ranks, they would win something.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair point. I mean, Kiran, if we take away Messi, Ronaldo, and let's say Ronaldinho, who over the years you've been watching football, who comes close to sort of matching them in terms of just being the ability they've got, what they've achieved in the game, performance-wise? Who really comes close to sort of matching those two guys? I think for me personally, I think watching Kaká from 2005 to 2000 and say when he went to Real Madrid, AC Milan at his peak, he was someone I loved watching in the Champions League. Amazing player. Who would come close to you to matching those two guys, apart from, Ronaldinho, would you say?
I'd say Ronaldo.
The Brazilian
Yeah,
one. Yep.
Ronaldo Lima. He, for me, he's my favorite player of all time. And a lot of fans don't even mention him in the discussion when they're talking about like greatest of all time. But up until 2014, he was the all-time top scorer in World Cup finals, like the final tournament. Brazil's all-time top scorer. He also came back from 2 full years out of the game to win the Ballon d'Or. And if that doesn't speak to the natural ability of the man, I don't know what will. He struggled with weight issues, struggled with lots of personal issues, and he still came back and he still scored the goals. I remember just quickly one game where he absolutely destroyed Rio Ferdinand, who was at the time, he was like the darling of English football. He joined Man U for 30 million. He was widely regarded as the best British centre-back for a long time. And he just got absolutely rinsed by Ronaldo. And Ronaldo scored a hat-trick in something like 25 minutes at Old Trafford. And when I saw that, and I saw how he done it with such ease, I was saying, yeah.
It's ridiculous, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. What can you know?
Yeah.
United, they were a top team. They were a really top team. So to see him just dance around the pitch, it was incredible. So for me, the only one that I would say comes anywhere near that level, his numbers aren't as impressive as Ronaldo and Messi, but I would argue that he was playing against better defenders. As the years have gone on, Ronaldo and Messi have had the luxury of playing against lesser defenders. The art of defending has slowly eroded in football. And I think it's just going to keep getting worse because nowadays the emphasis is first and foremost on, can this defender play out from the back?
Yeah.
A primary example is John Stones. John Stones never, ever looked like he was going to be a top defender, but Man City played all that money for him because Pep said he wanted a defender that could pass not from A to B, but pass from A to D. So yeah, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think with Ronaldo, I think the 2002 World Cup, great example there, bossed the whole tournament really. I think that Brazilian national team bossed the whole tournament and obviously went on to win it. And I remember the game you were talking about, Old Trafford, I think it was 2 legs in the Champions League. And I remember watching that because at that time, the Champions League was on ITV that time.
Yeah.
I remember the first leg I think it was 3-1. And then they came out to Old Trafford and Ronaldo just bust the whole game. I think even the Old Trafford fans were clapping him off when he went off.
Yeah.
He was just an incredible player, really. And a good point on your defending, I think a lot of, again, the Premier League now, just football, especially in Europe, you haven't really got those hard, those Yap Stams who were there back in the day, or just John Terry's, Jeremy Carragher's, people who just love defending. It's very sort of artistic now. Again, look at Pep's team with PK, as you mentioned, John Stones. They've all had to sort of learn, or you have to. Pep is very sort of demanding. I know I'm going off topic here, but he's very sort of demanding about players having to not just be good in terms of your positional play, but also being able to build up attacks and start attacks from the back, basically. Even goalkeepers do it. That's why he brought Edison. Do you know what I mean? So it's got a point there. I mean, Francis, again, what player would you say is, apart from Ronaldinho, Messi, and Ronaldo, what player comes close to you for sort of matching these two legends?
I will start by saying Ronaldinho, to me, is the greatest player ever.
Yeah. Oh, really? Ahead of these two?
To me,
yeah.
Ahead of those two. But I would say Zidane. I mean, I agree, Ronaldo was amazing, especially when he became no-knees Ronaldo, and he was still doing what he did to Rio Ferdinand and Man United with no knees. You know what I mean?
It's painful memories, man. It's painful memories, but carry on.
But I would say Zidane has to get a mention. like for a centre midfielder, I mean, what could he not do? You know what I mean? Like, you know, that spin, that 360 move he always used to do. Like, I mean, perfection personified, right? You know what I mean? And you know, the vision of pass. You know what I mean? Heading, technical ability. I mean, there's so much you could say about Zidane. You know what I mean? As a footballer. As a centre midfielder as well, a great example for, you know, many midfielders to look at and say, hey, I want to be like this guy. I think he's easily got to be one of the best to have ever done it.
Do you think that his headbutt in 2006 kind of tarnished his reputation?
Man, what would you do if someone said something about your mama? You know what I mean?
I know Kiran would have lashed out as well, because Kiran, when we used to play football, Kiran's very passionate and very fiery, so I know that, you know, Kiran would have done the same thing to that defender.
I would have, you know, I think, yes, I agree. I do think that did hurt Ronaldo, Zidane, not his legacy overall, but I think had Zidane stayed on the pitch, France would have backed him. Because he was controlling the entire game, scored the goal. Yeah, it was, you can't even say it was justified, because they lost the game, I think, because of so I do think it does. It's a black spot on his career, but I think he's the greatest midfielder of all time.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I don't think anyone really comes close.
I think during that time as well, there's a lot of midfielders like Edgar Davids in particular. For me, like he always stood out because he wore those glasses. So I always kind of recognised him. He was, like, for me, growing up as a kid, I loved Edgar Davids because he just looked different, really. He had dreadlocks, he had those orange glasses, and I just thought this guy could play as well. So I just loved the guy. And I think during that time, there's a lot of like Luis Figo, Davids, Nedved, Raul, you know, a lot of players during that time, Deco as well at one point, a lot of players during that time who were kind of competing there. So if you look at the early 2000s to 2010, we were kind of blessed with a lot of good midfielders during that time. So for Zidane to stand out during that period, that just shows the quality, you know, that this guy had, to be honest.
He was old, mate. Even when he was
yeah,
old, he was still the best midfielder on the field. He reminds me so much of like another guy who doesn't get a mention is Paul Scholes. I mean, dude could come out of retirement, sit in the midfield, and just boss the game.
Still bossed it, yeah.
Just boss the game. Like literally, like, I'm your dad and all of you are my sons. You know what I mean? Like that type of bossing the game. And, you know, those guys are very just special. Riquelme, Pablo Aimar, like, man, the list can go. Rivaldo. I mean,
Clarence Seedorf as well.
Seedorf as well. I mean, Seedorf, 34, 36, was just tearing it up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you still got guys like Pirlo, who how can you not mention Pirlo? You know what I mean? Like, redefine what it's like to be I mean, they call him a quarterback. They bring NFL terms in when they start talking about Pirlo. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you know you're different quality.
True. Even Kiran, even the guy at your club, Patrick Vieira, I mean, he bossed it for quite a few years, didn't he?
Yeah. I think when he left Arsenal, he went downhill, to be honest. I'm not sure why, because he was not old at all. And I know he didn't want to leave. He was pushed away for some reason. Yeah, for me, I mean, in terms of Premier League midfielders, I would say probably there have only probably been two that come close, you know, to the influence that Vieira had on a team, and that's Makelele for Chelsea, and Gerrard for Liverpool. People will say, "Oh, what about Lampard? What about Scholes?" But
do you not think Roy Keane had an influence on his team as well?
No, not really. Yeah, he did. But I think, you know, the proof was in the pudding. Ferguson kicked him out mid-season, and United were perfectly fine, and they never ever struggled to replace him. So no. Whereas with Vieira, Arsenal Arsenal lost him and were never the same. And even now, people are saying we never replaced Vieira. And this is 15, 16 years later. And you also look at Makelele.
It's not a fair comment, though. It's not a fair comment because Makelele was easily replaced. I mean, Michael Essien came in, sat there, and did the
I
job.
think Jonathan Mikel came in as well, didn't he?
Obi Mikel came in and also moved Essien up the field and sat there, did the job. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's an unfair comment on Roy Keane, man. You know what I mean? I feel like they had a replacement ready, so it was okay to let him go. But to say he didn't really have an influence because they still won, that's a bit harsh, Kiran. It's a bit harsh.
I'm not saying that he wasn't a great player, and I'm not saying that. I think maybe I didn't articulate the point properly, but what I meant was I didn't mean he didn't have an influence on the team, but I meant that him leaving didn't influence the team.
Okay.
Leaving didn't impact on their ability to win any trophies. And you know, the season that Makelele left Chelsea, they didn't win the league. Where when he first arrived, he was controlling every game that he played in. And I think it was only when he came to Chelsea that people at Real Madrid were like, man, what did we do? I think, I can't remember who it was. There was a Real Madrid player who famously said that, you know, the team is like a Rolls Royce, but we let go of the engine, which was Makelele. Very underappreciated, and they probably thought, oh, he's not a superstar, so we'll let him go. We don't need him. We'll bring in Beckham, and yeah, the rest is history. Chelsea, with all of their stolen oil money, they won the league.
That's a different debate. That's a different debate.
Let's just hate it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, look, I think with midfielders, I think influence comes under different categories. I mean, it could be drive, it could be technical ability on the ball. I think with someone, for example, like Roy Keane, for example, when they brought in Michael Carrick was a better footballer than Roy Keane, so he can make things happen on the ball, whereas Roy Keane was very good at driving his team. He was very good at sort of being the leader, really, to be honest. And different midfielders from that time come under different categories, in my opinion. Again, Makelele, very underappreciated, but players who do the dirty jobs and the players who kind of do the jobs that nobody sees are the ones who are the most effective.
You know what we say, underappreciated. We can't really say that when we're talking about Makelele, because the whole defensive midfield role is called the Makelele role. You know what I mean? So we can't say he's underappreciated. He was just underappreciated by Madrid.
Yeah. That's what he was underappreciated by Madrid. And they only realised how good he was and how important he was to the team when he was already gone.
Yeah, but yeah. Again, I think that's another great conversation to have about midfielders. But I think it's been a great conversation today, guys. But I think to wrap it up, I should say. Okay, Messi, Ronaldo. I think the debate goes on. Who would you guys have in your team out of these two legends? Kiran, I'll start with you.
I think
it's hard. But if you had to pick one in their prime,
one in their prime, I'd pick Messi. I think he in the years when Ronaldo was hitting like the amazing numbers that he was hitting, he was still playing out wide, which makes him even more incredible. But the reason I picked Messi is because I don't believe that. I think I could survive without having an absolutely unbelievable midfield and still get by and challenge for trophies with Messi in my team. Because Messi could be my striker and my midfielder, and he could also bring others into play. Whereas I think Ronaldo, he's very goal-driven. He just wants the goals for himself. Even if the better option for him is to square it, he's going for the goal. Me personally, I will always take Messi over Ronaldo.
What about you, Francis?
For me, it's going to be Ronaldo over Messi. Can Messi do it on a cold, windy day in Stoke? We'll never know. You know what I mean? But we know Ronaldo can. You know what I mean? And for me to do what he's done in the Prem and then also go into La Liga and boss the league, you know what I mean? And now he's trying to, reproduce that at the age of 34, you know what I mean? In Serie A, just goes to tell you that this guy, he can play literally anywhere, you know what I mean? And we don't know that about Messi, you know what I mean? We only know he's good in a team which is built for him. But can we take Messi and place him in another league, which has a whole other set of requirements, in another team, and how quickly can he adjust to being in that team? We've already seen that he doesn't adjust well to being around his international buddies, so how quickly can he adjust to playing in a league where they are out to get you? You know what I mean? And, you got to do a whole load of adjusting to get right. But Ronaldo's proven he's the more adaptable player, and that's what I would want in my team.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well. I just love Ronaldo. Not that because he used to play for United, but I just love his work ethic, his journey in football. Coming from a very young age, having to learn the game, having to develop on and off the pitch, having to build himself up. If you're talking about an all-round attacking player in the modern era, or from 2009 until today, there's been no one better, in my opinion. I love Messi. I think he's a great player. He's a magician on the pitch. He's produced so many great moments on the pitch. But I think with Ronaldo, his ability, what he can offer you in games. The guy can shoot with both feet. He can take free kicks. He's a strong physical guy. He's got speed. He's got a fantastic leap in the air. Nobody can jump higher than that guy. Just what he can offer you in matches is just different, really, to be honest. And again, with Francis's point, when you put Messi in a team that is built for him, he'll bust the game because everyone knows it. Everyone knows they're part in that team. In that Barcelona team, everyone's drilled to do a certain thing off the ball and on the ball, so it's just easier that way. But take Ronaldo, put him in a different team with strangers, the guy can still offer you something on his own, if that makes sense. So that's why I prefer Ronaldo, really. But I think with these guys, there is no right or wrong answer. I think they're both fantastic legends, and I've just been happy to watch them play, to be honest. If I could watch them play live one day, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, man, I think, listen, guys, it's been a really good conversation today. Kiran, really good to have you on.
Yeah, man. I have.
Francis, yeah, go on.
Who would you, if there is one out there, who would you say is going to be? Because obviously these guys are coming to the end of their careers.
Yeah.
Ronaldo, I think he said he wanted to play until he was like 42 or something, but I can't see Messi playing that long. Who would you say is the next guy to step up and really be like on or achieve these sort of heights, if that's even
possible? I think you're right. There's not too many out there, to be honest. I think if you had to pick one exciting young player, I think it might be Mbappe, to be honest. I think he's someone who's kind of stood out. I think his performances in the 2018 World Cup were, again, very, very good. For a player that young to produce those performances in those type of games, that sends a big message out. So I think if he carries on doing what he's doing, playing with the right players, I think every top player who's made it in this game has to play with players who can offer them something as well, because a player like that to sort of thrive and to win all those trophies and win all those Ballon d'Ors, you've got to have teammates around you who provide you with that platform to be able to do that. So I think for me personally, I think Mbappe stands out. I think Neymar's been one who has been talked about highly, but he's sort of been on and off. I think after he left Barcelona, he hasn't really found his spark, in my opinion. But I think Mbappe stands out for me, to be honest.
It's interesting. I think there is loads of great talent out there, and I feel that, again, like Richard said, Mbappe is definitely one. Erling Haaland is definitely another, which just came out of left field, you know what I mean? And I feel like the two of them will push each other to new levels, the same way we've seen for Ronaldo and Messi. You've got Kai Havertz as well, who for midfielder looks like he's going to be doing quite a bit. And there's a guy in the championship. I forgot his name, but he's in the championship. I'll find his.
What team does he play for?
I think it's Fulham or QPR. It's one of those two teams. He plays for one of those two teams, and he's a baller. You know what I mean? I know we all don't really look at the championship and divisions like that, but he's a very, very good baller, and I feel like he will be moving to the Premier League, to a top 6-7 side very, very soon. And yeah, I think he'll definitely give some people a run for their money, for sure. I'm just disappointed in Neymar. because I really did think by now, you know, he would have a Ballon d'Or to his name and everything else. But he does make football look very easy in a league which is incredibly easy.
Yeah. What about you, Kiran? Who do you think is going to sort of match those heights?
I think I don't know if anyone will, but if anyone's gonna get anywhere near, it will be Mbappe. He's still so young, so it's so difficult to say. You know, we've seen players look like they're going to be the next big thing. You know, one that immediately springs to mind is Adriano. And then within 2 or 3 years of achieving like quite a lot, he dropped off due to.
His is sad though, isn't it? Though, right?
Yeah. So we don't know.
Even Bojan as well. Bojan at Barcelona, he looked like a really good prospect.
Yeah.
I think there's so many factors because Mbappe is so young. Also, as well, if he is going to achieve those kind of heights, he must leave PSG. That league is not conducive to a player hitting those heights. He might hit the numbers, but he isn't going to earn the respect, you know, of his peers, I think, in the same way that Ronaldo and Messi have, because they've been in, I don't care what anyone says, La Liga is a top league. And
I disagree, but yeah.
It's, yeah, okay, there might be...
There's only 3 teams in that league. Every those 3 teams.
No, but to argue that point though, it's like, Francis, would you say that we're looking at the points tally end of the season? You look at the Bundesliga, and Bayern Munich are so far ahead.
Yeah, but Bundesliga,
in the La Liga, there's, I think technically it's a better league. Technically, in terms of football, I think with Bundesliga, you could say, okay, there's 2 teams. There's Bayern and there's
Bundesliga is just as crap as the Liga. You know what I mean? There's 2 teams in Liga. There's 2 teams in the Bundesliga. There's 3 teams in the La Liga. You know what I mean? Like, for me, if you ain't in the Premier League, you're not in a league. That's just what it is. That is the best league in the world. There's more competition. Like, from one week to the next, everyone can get beat. You know what I mean? But it's a foregone conclusion. You know what the La Liga table is going to look like at the end of the season. It's going to be Madrid or Barca at the top, and then it'll be the other one, which didn't quite make it, and then Atletico third. We know this.
But Kiran, you made a good point. You mentioned how Mbappe's got to leave PSG to be a top player. But if that's the case, why haven't we got more Ballon d'Or winners who've played in the Premier League?
I think it's
That's a good question, isn't it?
I mean, I remember in 2004, I thought Thierry should have won it. For what he done for Arsenal that season, he was a top scorer with 30 league goals, which is something that's quite rare in England for a striker to hit 30 goals, even now, with the lack of defence and stuff. But he came up against another phenomenal player. No, actually, 2004, Nedved won it, which was a disgrace. Sometimes these things, they just don't work out. I mean, it's different. Apart from Ronaldo, though, you look from 2008 up till now, there's always been someone just a little better, has performed a little better. I mean, if you take Ronaldo and Messi away, who would really have been pushing for that that Ballon d'Or in the Premier League from then till now?
I think maybe Torres, if he stayed kind of fit and his normal self, he might have pushed.
We all know the Ballon d'Or. You win that if you win the Champions League, basically. So if you ain't winning the Champions League that season, you're not in the running for winning the Ballon d'Or. You know what I mean? Look at the previous winners. You know what I mean? Like in the last.
But Francis, Kiran mentioned that Nedved won it in 2004, but Juventus didn't.
Politics. He was due an award, and so they gave him an award. You know
so you don't think that he deserved it throughout that time?
Right, he's a great player, but you can't compare what he did to what Henry done. it's uncomparable.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But these things are political decisions that are made, you know, and it's a foregone conclusion before the rest of us find out. You know what I mean? And that's the only way the likes of Messi or Ronaldo can, you know, kind of gridlock the thing, as if there haven't been other players, let's say in a defensive capacity, which haven't been amazing throughout the whole year. Like, tell me, how did Van Dijk not win it this time round?
You know, that's funny because I remember Roy Hodgson said a few years ago that he voted for Mascherano in 2000 and I think it was 13 or 14, and everybody laughed at him because he was a defender.
Yeah.
So it's like we've been built to put attacking players ahead of defensive players who produce. Again, being a defender is not easy. Being a fullback is not easy. But
Being a goalkeeper, dude, just look at some of the saves which have been made.
Van der Sar, Oliver Kahn, especially back in those days.
Yeah, Buffon.
Buffon, yeah.
As well, they don't get mentioned, which is strange because any team that wins the league first has a very solid defensive record. You know what I mean? Before the goals and everything else. So I really don't get how, you know, the likes of defensive midfielders, centre backs, right backs. I mean, tell me how, like, you know, the Liverpool wing backs are not in a running for an award. That's like 2 seasons consecutively where they've been top assists in the league.
That's true, but Kiran, I think you probably argue this point as well. As Francis just said about Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, you look at someone like Ashley Cole, for example. That guy's been awesome for such a long time, and he was never in the running for a Ballon d'Or.
No, I mean, I think Ashley Cole's the best left back that I've ever seen, and it hurts me to say that because he's a Judas, but
he's no way a Judas. You guys snaked him. Should have paid up. Tight pockets.
I mean, yeah, it's incredible that he didn't win more individual awards. I think there is a bias against the defensive players, and also, I mean, I agree 100% Van Dijk should have won it because I think without Van Dijk in Liverpool's team, all of a sudden that defense becomes very average. He's made a massive difference because the front line's the same, the midfield's the exact same. The only difference is Van Dijk is there, and yeah, it's incredible. I mean, but apart from Van Dijk, you know, I would agree. I would make the point that 9 times out of 10, the attacking players have more influenced the championship wins than the defensive ones. But Van Dijk is an exceptional case where he has had such an influence on his team that he should have won it. So yeah, it's all politics, and that's a shame. You know, it's a big shame because it hurts the integrity of the award. Now, when the next one comes out, you know, we're already kind of going to be looking at it with premeditated ideas that, okay, if we see Messi there, we're going to expect Messi's going to win it. It's unfair, but
N'Golo Kante hasn't even made the shortlist, like, you know, top 3. You know, wins the league with Leicester, then goes to Chelsea, and then wins the World Cup. And you just think, okay, well, you know, this guy has just done, you know, quite a lot right here, you know, and he still gets no mention. But, hey.
It's politics, isn't it? Look at the World 11 every year. It's got Barcelona and Real Madrid players in the 11. It's how it is, isn't it, really? I mean, Sergio Ramos could have the worst campaign ever and still get into the team. So, do you know what I mean? It's just how it works, really. But listen, it's been a good chat today, guys. Really appreciate your time today, Kiran. We'll definitely have you on again soon. I know you and Francis have got a few debates to settle, so it'd be good to get you on again and have those debates. But quickly, just to finish off, I mean, Premier League returns very soon. I know you've got Man first game. In terms of Arsenal finishing off their season, what do you sort of project in terms of their chances of finishing in the top 4?
Slim to none, to be honest. I think there are teams that are just far better positioned. Man United are the biggest problem, in my opinion. They lost to West Brom yesterday, I think, but it's a friendly. I
think they beat West Brom. I think it was like 3-0.
No, they lost.
No, they
did
lost.
They?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
That's weird because I watched the app, but they just showed me the United goals.
As they would, right?
That is shocking, really. I didn't know that. I thought they actually won that game.
They lost. But I don't pay too much attention to that. I think Bruno and Pogba together is going to be really good for the team. Fred has really, I think he's changed everyone's opinions on him. He's now a key player for United. If he's not on the pitch, United are losing. 100% they're going to lose. For Arsenal, it's just more of the same. The defense is non-existent. And even, just quickly, I know we're going to wrap this up, but a lot of people have been focusing on their defense, but even the attack is abysmal. If you take Aubameyang's goals out of the team, Arsenal are struggling to reach double figures in terms of goals in the Premier League this season, and that is so alarming. Especially when
are you disappointed with Lacazette?
I'm it's so easy to criticize an individual player, but the whole team has been so poor that I think it'd be unfair to single him out alone. Yeah, he's been poor, but who hasn't been poor? Apart from Martinelli and Saka, who really we shouldn't even be expecting nothing from them because they're young players. Yeah, everyone's been poor. Everyone keeps saying, Leno, without Leno's saves, Arsenal would be near the bottom. But he's still made more mistakes than any other goalkeeper in the league. So, it kind of, for me, the mistakes are tarnishing the good work that he's done. Because if he cut those mistakes out, we'd have more points and we'd be in the top four. So I don't expect Arsenal to finish in the top four, and in the summer I don't expect Arsenal to improve the squad at all. The squad will definitely, in my opinion, be weakened. I don't think Aubameyang's going to sign, and if I was Aubameyang, I wouldn't sign. Why would you sign for a team to just carry them again? It doesn't make any sense. At least with United, they signed Fernandes to show Pogba, look, we understand you're frustrated. We haven't been challenging since you came. But look, we brought in Bruno. He's a very good midfielder. So he's going to support you. And then in the summer, we're hoping to bring Sancho. If he don't come, we'll bring someone else. Chelsea have also shown that they're very serious with their business. So, yeah, I don't expect...
Francis, sorry to cut you off there, Kiran. Francis, is Timo Werner going to join Chelsea?
Well, they say it looks like it's a done deal, pretty much.
Okay.
But, these things can always change. Lastminute.com, someone can swap your player, right? So until there's a photo of him at Stamford Bridge, I wouldn't believe it.
Fair enough. But listen, guys, it's been a really good chat today, man. Kiran, once again, thanks again for coming on today. We'll get you on again very, very soon. There's a few things that I think would be great to talk about with. But yeah, Francis, where can people find us on social media? Where can they keep up to date with Athletes Hub? Yeah, man, you can search everywhere, at Hub Athlete on the Instagram, and on the old YouTube, the Athletes Hub. Well, that's correct. Stay locked in. Perfect, guys. But yeah, once again, guys, appreciate your time today. Really good chat. And we'll catch you again pretty soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Take care.